Assalamu alaikum. Hi, Oracle Reiki Spiritual Healer. And today we're talking about the sinister demonic energy behind a narcissist. So as we well know, we have different kinds of narcissists, and when we are encountering those sadistic narcissists, when we are encountering those covert narcissists, when we are encountering those psychopath narcissists, we have to understand that there is an energy that is behind them, especially when they are in relationships in the household, when they are in relationships, any kind of relationship where they can feed off of the energy. So we've talked about this a lot. So when we are in a relationship with a narcissist, they are able to feed off of the energy of the person that they can abuse. And many times, in the past, what I've seen, what I've understood was the narcissist will feed off of the husband or the wife. Usually it is the husband that has fed off of the wife until, there's nothing left, for him to feed off of. Then he'll move on to the kids. So, these are, and it could be a female if she is dominating in the relationship, whichever one is dominating in the relationship that is narcissist and toxic in the relationship, in the home life, that is the one who will feed off of the other spouse, and then they'll start feeding off of the children. So these are some of the things that I want you to realize in your relationship. These are some of the things that, I have seen and experienced in my own life in a couple of times in my relationships, in other people's relationships, in people that I have mentored, and we have had life coaching sessions. And I just wanted you to, understand that it goes beyond succubus. It goes beyond the Jezebel spirit. It goes beyond wanting to appear better outside to other people. It goes to the demonic, the insidious personality, the energy that they are able to reap off of anyone that they feel is low vibrational or can put in a low vibrational. So when they're unable to do that, I've seen them, ultimately get very sick. I've seen them, lose their mind. I've seen them try to, unalive themselves. So, these are the type of things that when you remove yourself, and let's say that, your parents were going through a divorce, or one of the parents walked away and left. And usually that parent that walked away and left was probably the empathic parent. And the demonic narcissist probably was the one who was trying to do something malevolent to that person. But once that person walked away and they no longer had that energy, they no longer could siphon that energy from the wife. We're going to say that it's the wife because I'm a female. Then they will turn and try to find the low vibrational person in the family, the children, among the children. And when they find that person, then they will ultimately start trying to siphon that person's energy until they will try to unalive that person. They will do that. They will make that person sick. So these are some of the things that I've seen, in my own life and in my own experiences with people. But when you have that empath, that super empath that lets them know, I know what you're trying to do. I've seen you do it with, my mother, or I've seen you do this with other people. You can't come over here with that kind of energy. either you're coming to, heal yourself from whenever this started, or you're coming to, say that you're sorry and you're not going to be able to do this and back out. It's time for you to tap out. Choose which one you're going to do. I've had people in it with a lot of experience at manipulating people. But ultimately, when they tried to manipulate me, even when they tried to make me, believe that they were the good person, ultimately I would say something, or, I could do something and their mask would slip. So most empaths or super empaths are able to put those kind of sadistic people, demonic people, toxic people, all narcissists, in a position that, is uncompromisable, an uncompromisable position that they can't get away from. They can't run away from looking at their true self once you give off that energy that I'm reflecting your behavior. I don't even have to know you, but I'm going to reflect this behavior, and your mask is gonna drop, because you're trying to make me believe that you're a person that you're not. You're the smile that you're giving off, the words that you're giving off. It seems like you have practice. You've been in practice to say this or do this for a very long time. So I can understand. I know the behavior when I see it. So these are some of the things. These are some of the things that when that mask slips, and you can't feed off of me. You can't siphon the energy that you want. You can't get the reaction that you want. But what I will do for you is, put that mirror up to you and show you that this is what you need to heal, and this is where it started at. This is where we need to, grow from here. This is where you need to grow from. I don't want to, go back and forth. I'm not, and I teach my people, don't go back and forth with them, because they're sadistic. That's a way of feeding their anger, feeding, that energy, that negative energy. Ultimately, a narcissist person will feed off of a person until they unalive them. And this is the purpose of this video. A narcissist, a demonic person, they have been sent into your life in order to reap the negative benefits, any negative that they can get out of you, any good that they can switch with you. They have been sent and purposely inserted into your life, to create a space where you cannot escape them. Especially for women, especially for children. When you cannot escape those insidious people, they will unalive you. If you try to tell somebody what's going on, even if you're a child, they will unalive you. So these are the things that to keep them from being exposed. These are the mechanisms that they will go through, and the ultimate thing for them to do is to, make sure that, there is no peace. The ultimate is to keep up chaos and disturbs, and make sure that you're disturbed, in your mind, in your peace, in your home, to make sure that you're on edge, to make sure that you're in fear, you and the kids. Whoever it is, it might be a female that every time, she wants something and she can't have her way, she's gonna throw a fit. I'm gonna harm myself. I'm gonna harm the kids. I seen a couple of videos where there were a couple of women who were, insidious narcissists that have unalived their own children. So you can go and type that in on the internet. So it's not just men. But, I'm talking about, as long as you stay there, then that is the ultimate thing, the ultimate act that they can do to create, that energy and siphon that energy. Not just for them, but for the child, but for you as well. They have put you in fear. They have put you in trauma. And that's why it is so important for you to leave a toxic relationship, an insidious person, a narcissist person, because it doesn't get better. It's not, you're not going to be able to change that in that person. They have to decide ultimately that they have a problem. So when you are encountering that person who, it is the energy vampire, who wants to be the life of everything, who wants to be seen by everybody, who is the nicest person outside the home, but, inside of the home or inside of the relationship, they're a monster. And you know what I'm saying, they're toxic. They're belittling. They are, creating chaotic energy. They are creating abusive energy in the relationship. They have become abusive. So ultimately, you have to be able to discern that this isn't, going to heal. Usually, it is not going to be a good environment, a conducive environment for children or anyone. You cannot say that I'm just going to stay in this relationship for the kids, because ultimately you'll raise another generation who think that this is okay, that this is behavior towards women or men. And again, like I say, most women usually had to stay in relationships because the male was the provider, until we raised the bar and said, you're not going to keep having this kind of behavior. We raised the bar, and we're expecting, a lot of you out there to heal. Some of you have. Some of you have chosen to heal. Some of you have chosen to listen. But a lot of you are very insidious to this very nature that, you will create this kind of environment. And usually there is something very toxic that comes out of this kind of environment. And, the first thing that I'm going to say to you is diseases. Because most narcissists, most psychopaths, most of these insidious demonic people, they love having sex with other people. They love having sex. They don't want to be held accountable for, other sexual partners. They don't want to go to the doctor. So, we have this generation, instead of them using what God has given them, the holy books, let me take you to the doctor before I sleep with you. As soon as that person ghosts them, fine, because I want you to ghost me because you don't want to go to the doctor, because you're an insidious person. You were going to do something to my person. Insidious. To slowly unalive. And this is what's going on. They will fornicate. They will sleep with people in your vicinity, in the neighborhood. And this is what they will sleep with people that you know. So you will have to understand, these people love to do things in this fashion to siphon your energy, to put you in a low vibrational state, to make you think that, there's something wrong with you. But, you have to be able to stand strong and ask those tough questions. Let's, like I say, let's go to the doctor before we even, if we're going to be serious, let's go to the doctor before we even get into a relationship. Let me take you to the doctor if you don't have insurance. And usually they're going to run away from that. You're going to have to ask them, do you have, and this is for me personally, do you have, your own car? How many relationships have you been in? How many children do you have? So if you have more than 2 children, then, there's nothing that I can do with you, because you're not able to maintain your relationships with your wives and all of those kind of things. And this goes back to, you can see those insidious red flags. This goes for men and women. So we want to always look for those men and women that are siphoning energy, those men and women that jump around in relationships, those men and women who talk down and create chaos, in their relationships, not only with their parents, but in their children's lives, in their wives' lives. And we have to look for those patterns, that when the person that is no longer there for them to siphon their energy, the kids will get sick and start staying sick, because they're ultimately siphoning the kids' energies now. And they will do this to the male or the female, whichever one is the aggressor in the relationship, whichever one is the person who is the provider in the relationship. They will start siphoning your energy so that you become the one that is just constantly sick in the relationship. And when they cannot siphon the spouse's energy, they will move on to the children and start siphoning their energy so that they can stay sick. So this is what the narcissists need to stay alive: your energy. They'll operate in the succubus energy. They'll operate in a vampire energy. And they'll also operate in the Jezebel energy in order to siphon these energies, not only from you in the relationship, but from people outside of the relationship. So these are something to be careful of. We don't play those type of games in a relationship. At the first signs of seeing those red flags, we want to go ahead and separate ourselves. We want to go ahead and ask the questions. I seen this right here. I seen this on your internet. I seen that you're being with somebody else. You're promiscuous. I seen that. It's not just about porn. It's not just about porn, because if it was only about porn, then we would be able to say, okay, he's just watching porn, or she is just hanging out with the Chippendales, with her girls at the Chippendales. No, when you start doing that, that means that this relationship is on the rocks. You're showing a red flag that I'm not enough for you. You want something more that these people offer you, and this is what you're used to. You're used to siphoning energy inside of the home and outside of the home. So when you see those kind of red flags, you want to start asking those tough questions. You got to, grow some tough skin. You're going to have to, man up and woman up and start saying, okay, I got to go over here to my side of the house. Go ahead and feel free to take you a knife, or, whatever, a steel bar, a gun, because, if you try to come over here and we're not together, we're not in a relationship, we have broke up, you're seeing other people, then ultimately if you come over here and try to put my body in danger, then, I might have to harm you, to protect myself, to defend myself from that negative and that insidious energy. So these are some of the things that we will have to go through as chosen ones. Defending yourself, there's nothing wrong with defending yourself. There's nothing wrong with defending yourself from a narcissist person inside and outside of the relationship, because this is what has been taught in the society of America, that it's okay to have several different people, to siphon several different people's energy and ultimately end up with a cold. Everybody end up with the same cold. So I'm telling you that it's not cool, and I'm telling you that we have to fight against that in society. So I hope that this has helped you in order to understand that, the insidious narcissist will try to unalive everyone in the relationship, the weakest person, the low vibrational person in the relationship. I hope that you can understand that. And you can reach out to me for more information on these kinds of relationships, on these kind of dependent relationships, codependent relationships. You can reach out to me in the description below. You can book a session. You can also book a one-on-one consultation. Donate to my channel in the description below. I'm High Oracle, Reiki Spiritual Healer. Assalamu alaikum.